The conflict perspective is one of the many ways one could view society. It is a theory that has been derived from the ideas of Karl Marx. Society is constantly changing because of the inevitable conflict that occurs due to an unequal distribution of resources, status, and power among groups within society.
In terms of race and culture, the conflict perspective discusses how they are used as a tool of oppression by segregating groups. Between 1910 and 1970, blockbusting and redlining was the norm of the day, whereby realtors sold homes in certain demographics to blacks or whites only, and also forms of black applicants were coded red, further increasing segregation. The documentary followed violent occurrences taking place in a primarily black community in Chicago. One of the violence interrupters was a man named Kobe, who had served time in prison for gang-related activity. Kobe turned his life around after serving his sentence and dedicated his life to interrupting violence. He moved his family out of the black community into a predominantly white area to escape the violence that he had been exposed to all his life, and also to break the cycle of gang violence. This is a clear instance of how race is used as an oppression tool by the conflict perspective.
Religion and education are both topics addressed in the conflict perspective and discussed in the interrupters. In regard to education, the conflict perspective describes credentials and higher education as tools used to reproduce inequalities through cultural differences amongst individuals. In the interrupters, Theo Hardiman, the CEO and founder of Violence Interrupters, said that his work had initially began with Ceasefire International Group, but he had lied during the hiring process in order to get the job. During his job interview, he claimed that he held a bachelor's degree, which he did not. Later, Mr. Hardiman did go back to school and earn multiple degrees. However, we will never know if he would have achieved such success if he hadn't initially lied about possessing those degrees. In his case, possessing a degree did not contribute to the successful beginnings of his work with Ceasefire. This raises an important question. Why do we stress the importance of a degree in specific fields when people are equipped with knowledge obtained from life experiences? Maybe it is for the reasons the conflict perspective implies, to reproduce inequalities by primarily allowing those with the means to afford education better job opportunities. Additionally, per the conflict perspective, religion acts as a tool of social control to maintain the status quo in society. There are many times the characters in the interrupters talk about God and demonstrate their thoughts that God will guide them through all their hardships.
Me getting shot in the game was God telling me, you've got to make your own choices.
This quote implies Amina believed her injury was somewhat justified because God wanted her to turn her life around, which in turn she did. This example is concurrent with the conflict perspective because it demonstrates religion acting as a tool to appease certain socioeconomic groups and races who experience inequality or hardship.
The conflict perspective can be seen also explaining stratification of class in the documentary The Interrupters. This can be seen through an interrupter named Amina. She is the daughter of the notorious gang leader Jeff Fort, who is currently serving a 155-year prison sentence on a domestic terrorism conviction. Fort is the idol of many young gangsters in the Chicago area. However, Amina did not gain her status or respect from him. Instead, Amina created her own gang and, like her father, achieved great success. This has given Amina power, respect, and a voice that not many other women have in the gang community. She demands respect without asking for it. Even grown, murderous men silence themselves in her petite presence. Amina's high status in low class supports the conflict theory defined by Weber. He argues it doesn't matter what class, status, or party you are, but the prestige you hold in each, and that conflict only arises when these dimensions are highly correlated in society. Amina's past has given her high status in her community, yet she has not moved from the low-income neighborhood. This allowed her to be influential to people less prestigious in status, but still connect to them through similar prestige of class, therefore giving Amina the ability to mediate conflict and not cause it.
According to the conflict theory, power can be gained from social status, and capitalism contributes to patriarchy. However, this can hardly be applied to Amina's story. Amina, as one of the most influential violence interrupter, gains a lot of respect from the community. Amina built up her own reputation by devoting herself to anti-violence career, which has nothing to do with her father's name. In this case, Amina actually gave up the opportunity of using resources towards power, her father's status. Besides, while men have advantage in both physical strength and division of labor, Amina still gets in where a lot of guys can't get in, which is a counterexample towards conflict theory.
Amina Matthews, as a violence interrupter, she's the golden girl. And she gets in where a lot of guys can't get in. She knows how to talk to these high-risk young men, and a lot of guys I know that have a lot of murder in their background, they respect her.